From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, March 31st, 2017. Silver is trading at $18.16 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,241 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 1.5 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $1,035. Antiwar.com reports facing growing concerns over an attack earlier this month that killed hundreds of civilians in Mosul. The Pentagon on Thursday confirmed it has video footage of the Islamic State forcing hundreds of civilians into the destroyed buildings, which they presented as provoking the attack. While this is designed to shift some of the blame away from the Pentagon for bombing a building full of civilians, it appears to actually do the exact opposite. It confirms that the Pentagon knew before the attacks that those buildings were full of civilians and attacked them anyhow. The Islamic State has long been criticized for pushing civilians around and forcing them into various areas, but the fact that civilians were being forced into buildings does not prove the buildings were of any specific value as a target in the first place, and the Pentagon's assertion appears to be that putting civilians in there amounted to making the buildings a more tempting target in and of itself. The huge civilian death toll of the U.S. strikes has been condemned by several human rights groups, unsurprisingly, but the Pentagon's narrative has rapidly changed from denial to sheepish admission of probable guilt and now to outright defiance over the fact that they killed so many people. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports Senate Republicans needed to call on Vice President Mike Pence and an ailing GOP lawmaker to advance legislation that seeks to give states the authority to withhold certain federal funding for Planned Parenthood. The upper chamber held a procedural vote Thursday for House Joint Resolution 43, which would allow state governments to block federal Title X family planning funds from organizations that perform abortions, including Planned Parenthood, which has been at the center of an abortion debate for many months. Two GOP senators, Lisa Murkowski of Alaska and Susan Collins of Maine, joined Democrats in opposing the legislation, sending chamber Republicans into a scurry to find a pair of replacement votes to get it approved. In a fairly dramatic move, Senator Johnny Isakson of Georgia, still recovering from back surgery, appeared in the Senate with the aid of a walker to back Republicans on the proposal. Pence, the Senate's president, then emerged to break the 50-50 tie. Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organization to show up in an emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare to the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no-gov license. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com. That's getcell411.com. Reuters reports North Carolina on Thursday repealed a law restricting bathroom usage for transgender individuals, hoping to bring back businesses and sports leagues that boycotted the southern state because they saw the year-old measure as discriminatory. However, the new law replacing the old one banned cities in the state from passing their own anti-discrimination protections for LGBT individuals until 2020, drawing scorn from civil rights groups and casting doubt on whether boycotting businesses will return to the state. Democratic Governor Roy Cooper signed the replacement bill into law after the Republican-controlled state Senate and House approved it in separate votes in the capital of Raleigh. The new measure rescinds House Bill 2, the so-called bathroom bill, also popularly known as HB 2, which required transgender individuals to use the bathroom, changing room, and shower in state-run buildings that correspond to the sex on their birth certificate rather than their gender identity. In basketball-crazed North Carolina, the withdrawal of the NCAA tournament and the NBA All-Star Game, which had been awarded to Charlotte, reverberated throughout the state. Under the new law, transgender individuals are once again free to use the bathroom of their choice, but they lack any recourse should a person, business, or state entity eject or harass them. The new law also denies state legal protections in other areas such as employment and housing. Outraged LGBT advocates who had wanted an unconditional repeal of HB 2 were already pressuring businesses and sports organizations not to return. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.